Starbucks, the world's go-to place for their daily dose of caffeine and sugar rush. This coffee shop has grown to become the world's largest coffee house chain, with over 15,000 locations in the US alone. Over the years, Starbucks has managed to transform itself from a single-location coffee shop into a place of class and style, where anybody and everybody will go to hang out over an overpriced frappuccino. But put all that aside, would you believe me if I told you that Starbucks was more than just a place where you can go for some coffee and a good time? What would you say if I told you that Starbucks is actually on its way to becoming the world's largest bank? Still in disbelief? Well, in this week's episode, we are going to look at how Starbucks coffee is more bank than bean. But before we continue, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be the first to be notified of new behind the business videos that we post every week. Let's begin. The story of Starbucks starts all the way back in 1971. At that point, Starbucks was no more than just a single coffee bean store in Seattle's famous Pike Place market. It was not until American businessman Howard Schultz got on board as the CEO that Starbucks started their aggressive expansion campaign. And with his hard work, by 1992, the company had 165 stores all over the USA and became the country's favorite coffee joint. Schultz's idea of turning Starbucks into a cafe rather than just a shop that sold beans and coffee-making equipment was initially refused. But he did not let anything get in his way, and he ultimately turned his dream into reality when he purchased the brand from its previous owners, Baldwin and Bowker. The primary reason behind Starbucks' success was the fact that the cafes were extremely customer-friendly places. The company paid a lot of attention to training their staff and designing their menus in a way that would make the customers feel confident about the kind of drink they wanted to have. The worst thing that can happen is going into a coffee shop not knowing what to get. That, combined with all kinds of flavors and special add-ons that the company started offering, made the coffee drinking process all the more special for their customers. Today, Starbucks is a premium retailer and roaster of specialty coffee, not just in the USA, but all over the world. However, despite all of this success, 2008 was still a hard time for the company because of the economic recession. They were forced to shut down 600 stores because they just weren't generating any profits. The company laid off thousands of employees in the process. At this point, Howard had resigned from his position as the CEO since he wanted to pursue his dream of running for public office. But he couldn't see his company in turmoil and returned back to try and revamp Starbucks' brand. He rolled out campaigns such as My Starbucks Idea, where customers were able to give their input on Starbucks' products, service, ad campaigns, stores, and pretty much everything else. The company quickly regained their customer base's trust through activities like these and started to connect with them on a deeper level by establishing a social media presence way before any company ever had. The company also developed ideas such as their loyalty card, which translated into a digital revolution soon after. It all started when Starbucks launched their very own app, allowing customers to redeem awards after a certain number of purchases. The company brought in their first ever chief technology officer and focused a huge part of their attention on digital innovation, services, and products, increasing their sales by a huge 30%. The Starbucks loyalty app is one of the most used restaurant apps of all time. Why? Well, because the app allows customers to store their money right inside the app and use it to pay off their purchases. Now, you might be wondering how that's different from paying with your mobile app or, let's say, your credit card. Well, here's the thing. When you pay through the Starbucks app, you receive twice the number of stars that you would normally, which means that you can redeem rewards such as free drinks and snacks faster. So of course, to loyal Starbucks drinkers, this is a great deal. But how does it benefit the company? Considering Starbucks' huge and loyal customer base, people aren't afraid to store huge amounts of money inside their loyalty apps. More than half of the company's customers use the Starbucks app to pay, which has resulted in a grand total of $1.5 billion being fed and held into the company's bank account interest-free. And if this doesn't sound like a huge amount, let's just say that it's more than almost 4,000 banks in the USA, which own less than $1 billion in terms of their total assets. Which is exactly what has led people to believe that Starbucks might be on its way to become the world's largest and most trusted bank very soon. Now you might be thinking that even if the company holds millions of dollars, people are eventually going to use them to purchase coffee, right? Which means that all this money really isn't for Starbucks to own. Well, you're right. But while people aren't making these purchases, the money acts as an interest-free loan for the company. Starbucks is free to use this money to invest in their own growth and expansion. And because Starbucks isn't an actual bank, they really don't have to return any cash back to their customers. They only have to pay them back in coffee. This allows them to bypass all financial regulations and use the money however they want to. Also, by not having to return any money to any customer, this allows the money to not succumb to currency fluctuations. Essentially, Starbucks doesn't have to constantly worry about what the market is going to do. Starbucks assets are constantly growing, helping the company turn into an unregulated bank more and more every day. The chain is no longer only dependent on its market purchases and has a steady flow of what you can call passive income through their reward system, making it a win-win situation for the corporation as well as their customers, who get the chance to receive free goodies, which makes them feel like they're putting their money to good use by storing it inside the app. In fact, to the customers, these transactions act as small savings considering the fact that they can eventually use them to gain profits, in the form of drinks and snacks rather than money. Companies such as PayPal, Google, and Walmart have also scaled their businesses on the same model. And while these names are much bigger than Starbucks in the industry, none of them have been able to replicate the scale of such unconventional banking like the coffee chain has. But don't be fooled, because Starbucks hasn't come out and said that they want to take over your bank. But judging by the amount of money they're generating every day through their loyalty cards and phone apps, it's pretty easy to say that Starbucks is definitely giving some of the biggest banks in the world a run for their money. Starbucks card transactions accounted for about $2.5 billion in US sales for the company last year. And if customers are spending that much, we can only assume that they have even more stored on those cards at any given time. Some of this amount is actually never even used. About 10% of the money stored in the company's app tends to remain forgotten and is known as industry breakage. In the financial years of 2019, 2018, and 2017, Starbucks generated a breakage income of $125 million, $155.9 million, and $104.6 million, which just goes to show how much money people are constantly storing into their rewards cards and apps. All of these functions, such as storing money and making digital payments, is what has led experts to believe that in the digital era, Starbucks is now functioning more like a bank than a regular cafe. Right now, you can only use the money you store into your app and card to purchase items from Starbucks. But in the future, the company might decide to expand a single card or app and let you purchase items at other franchises owned by the company, such as Tazo Tea or La Boulange. This is expected to create a financial ecosystem fueled by Starbucks, which doesn't sound all that different from a traditional bank, right? At the same time, economists believe that Starbucks can also make the choice to allow their customers to withdraw certain amounts from their cards, which would turn baristas into bankers, a move that no other restaurant chain has ever been able to come close to. Customers already use Starbucks gift cards as an alternative to money transfers, so it wouldn't be that hard for the company to keep capitalizing on their current revenue streams. If Starbucks wants to, the company has all the necessary technology to build a fully fledged currency or partner with other brands to create a widely available mobile payment system, one that will shape an entirely new era of digital purchasing. So, is Starbucks really the world's largest bank? Let's just say that it's not quite there yet, mainly because the company itself hasn't officially rebranded itself as a provider of financial services. But does it have the potential to do so? Considering the kind of technology and digital products that Starbucks has invested in over the years, there's no denying that in the near future, Starbucks might become a leading player in the world of fintech, expanding its current financial offerings into something much greater with a much larger impact. How much money have you put into your Starbucks card? Leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be the first to be notified of new behind the business videos we post every week. Be inspired, and we will see you in the next one. Since you made it all the way to this point, here are 2 more videos that we know you are going to love. Go on, click on it. You know you want to.